this. Namo tassa bhagavato arhato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arhato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arhato samma sambuddhassa. So today we are going to do a sutta which has a lot of information, which is Majjhima Nikāya 151. And this is the purification of alms food. So one of these concepts the Buddha has is that when a monk is receiving alms food, that is considered to be a debt to the donor. So it is a monk who takes up the debt from the donor. And how does he fulfill that debt? He fulfills that debt by practicing and attaining the levels of awakening. When he attains the level of awakening, then what he is doing is he is generally fulfilling his kind of aim for the holy life. And the alms food is also given to support the monks, or the support to the monks, as the four requisites are there, are given to the monk so that he can practice and attain awakening. When you are practicing, only then you will be able to get to the end of the suffering. So one of the monks had this idea that when a monk who is just a normal kind of monk, he has no attainments till now, does the practice and say maybe he attains a sotapanna, then the donor who is there, whoever the donor was there in the past for him, will all get a merit which is addition to just giving for a normal monk. Then if he attains, say, Sakdagami, Anagami or Arahant, then subsequently those donors will receive higher and higher amounts of merits. So that was the idea of that monk. So, but the Buddha is saying that there is a debt which you have to repay, that is by practicing and attaining. So what are the other things of this sutta? We'll just go through. Thus have I heard, on one occasion the Blessed One was living at Rajagaha in the bamboo grove, the squirrel sanctuary. Then when it was evening, the Venerable Sariputta rose from meditation and went to the Blessed One. After paying homage to him, he sat down at one side. The Blessed One then said to him, Sariputta, your faculties are clear. The color of your skin is pure and bright. What abiding do you often abide in now? Now, Venerable Sir, I often abide in voidness. Now, this voidness which is mentioned is, as per the commentaries, this voidness is the voidness of fruition of an arahant. So an anagami or an arahant can go into a cessation experience based on will. So they can determine the time they will stay in cessation, and then they can go into this cessation. So one of the commentaries which is saying is this is the practice Sariputta was doing, that he was going into cessation. That's the reason when he comes back from the cessation, his faculties are more clear. And that is also mentioned in Majjhima Nikāya 43. In this question and answers, that what happens after the cessation. So your faculties are more clear. It is also mentioned, I think, in Majjhima Nikāya 44. So Sariputta may be sitting in voidness, that is the cessation, kind of the cessation available to a arahant or a anagami. Or what he may be doing is he may be also going into the voidness meditation. This is also mentioned in Majjhima Nikāya 43. That is, when you go to a place to do the meditation, you say that this place is void of self. And then I am also void of self. And then you kind of investigate into everything and see the lack of self in everything. So that is a kind of a meditation. That is also considered a meditation on voidness. So those are the two things the Sariputta may be doing. So Sariputta, if a student should wish, may I now often abide in voidness, he should consider thus, on the path by which I went to the village for alms, or in the place where I wandered for alms, or on the path by which I returned from alms round? Was there any desire, lust, hate, delusion, or aversion in my mind regarding forms cognizable by the eye? So the Buddha is saying that when you are going anywhere, then you should question that when I was going to the village, or when I was coming, or when I was kind of roaming around for my alms food, was my mind, what was my mind doing? That was also what Bhante Dhammagavesi used to say, that when you are doing any activity, see what your mind is doing. Where your mind was there? Was there desire, lust, hate, delusion, or aversion in the mind? That one has to check. If so, reviewing, he knows on the path by which I went to the village for alms, or in the place where I wandered for alms, or for the on the path by which I returned from the alms round, there was desire, lust, hate, delusion, or aversion in my mind regarding forms cognizable by the eye, then he should make an effort to abandon those evil, unwholesome states. But if by reviewing he knows thus, on the path by which I went to the alms, or the place where I wandered for alms, on the path by which I returned from the alms food, there was no desire, lust, hate, delusion, and aversion in my mind regarding forms cognizable by the eye. Then he can abide happily and glad, training day and night in wholesome states. So, what the Buddha is saying, that you should see if there is a thing which you see, are you attracted to that thing? The thing which you hear, a thing which you smell, thing which you taste, thing which you touch, are you attracted to those things, or are you not? Or are you averse by those things? Are you not? So you should see that if those things are there in your mind, then what you have to do is 6R. That is, use the right efforts. Right efforts in simple terms is, don't allow the unwholesome to come into the mind. If the unwholesome is there, you remove the unwholesome. Bring up wholesome thing in your mind and develop the wholesome to the logical end or fruition. So you have to increase your wholesome, but you have to move away from the unwholesome. So that is the teaching. So the Buddha is saying that if you see the unwholesome, then you just 6R them. Again, Sariputta, a student should consider thus: on the path by which I went to the village for alms, or in the place where I wandered for the alms, or on the path by which I returned from the alms, was there any desire, lust, hate, delusion, or aversion in my mind regarding sounds cognizable by the ear, regarding odors cognizable by the nose, regarding flavors cognizable by the tongue, regarding tangible cognizable by the body, regarding mind objects cognizable by the mind. If by reviewing he knows thus, on the path there was a desire, lust, hate, delusion, or aversion in my mind regarding mind objects cognizable by my mind, then he should make an effort to abandon those evil, unwholesome states. But if by reviewing he knows thus, on the path by which I went to the village for alms, there was no desire, lust, hate, delusion, or aversion in my mind regarding mind objects cognizable by the mind, then he should abide happy and glide, training day and night in wholesome states. So this is the same thing for all kind of the sense objects. So we talked about the 5 objects. Buddha is talking about the third thing which is there, the mind or the external things. So internal and the external, both if it creates unwholesome, then you have to 6R and be with the wholesome. Again, Sariputta, a student should consider thus: are the 5 codes of sensual pleasure abandoned in me? What are the 5 codes of sensual pleasure? It is the same thing: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and the body. So that are the things which are there, which are the fundamental things which kind of goes out and interacts with the outer world. Then he should make an effort to abandon those 5 codes of sensual pleasure. That means that you have to kind of let go of those things. You have to 6R them. But if by reviewing he knows thus, the 5 codes of sensual pleasures are abandoned in me, then he can abide happy and glad, training day and night in the wholesome states. So again, he has to see what is there in the mind and abandon those things which are unwholesome and accept the things which are wholesome. Again, Sariputta, a student should consider thus: are the five hindrances abandoned in me? The five hindrances are also, say, lust is there, aversion is there, sloth and torpor is there, restlessness and remorse, and doubt. So all of these things are the hindrances which are there. Are they abandoned or not? One has to look and kind of review. If by reviewing he knows the five hindrances are not abandoned in me, then he should make an effort to abandon those five hindrances. But if by reviewing he knows thus the five hindrances are abandoned in me, then he can abide happy and glad, training day and night in the wholesome stage. Again, Sariputta, a student should consider thus: are the five aggregates affected by clinging fully understood by me? So, what are the five aggregates? This is the body. There is feeling which is there. There is perception. There are mind objects which are like maybe thoughts and the consciousness. So, these are the five aggregates. So, one has to understand its true nature. It has to one has to understand the impermanence of those things. They arise and pass away. Once we did not have a body, now we have a body, and in the future we will be forced to kind of discard this body. And the feeling is also the same thing. The feeling will not come unless there is a contact. So when there was no contact, there is no feeling. When there is a contact, there is feeling. When then again there is no contact, there is no feeling. So the feeling is impermanent. Feeling is dependent on perception. Perception is also based on if the feeling is there or not. If the feeling was not there, there was no perception. The feeling is there, the perception is there, and later on there is no feeling, there is no perception. Mind object thoughts also, sometimes we did not have thoughts, then now there is thoughts and the thoughts will go away. Then the same thing with the consciousness. Consciousness is also dependent on the three things. The consciousness depends on if there is a working eye, or in the case of eye, there is working eye and the eye object, and then the eye consciousness is arising. If that is not there, if my eyes are closed, then the eye consciousness is not there. When I open my eyes, the eye consciousness comes into action. And if I close my eyes, again the eye consciousness goes. So we know that all these things are impermanent. We have to see that also that they are dukkha, that is when we resist. Say my body gives pain and I resist it, then I cause myself dukkha. If there is a feeling which arises, if I resist that, then I cause dukkha. So you see that where I am resisting and then I am causing them dukkha. Then you have to see the impersonality also. That I have no desire to have a body and then the body came. It was there. I was there and I was in the body. And without my kind of control, this body will go away also. My death is not in my control. I cannot delay my death. So we know that it also is impersonal. So in this way, we have to fully kind of know the five aggregates. The five aggregates affected by clinging are not fully understood by me. Then he should make an effort to fully understand those five aggregates affected by clinging. But if by reviewing thus, he knows thus, the five aggregates affected by clinging are fully understood by me, then he can abide happy and glad, training day and night in wholesome state. Again, Sariputta, a student should consider thus: are the four foundations of mindfulness established in me? So now I think we will go to the 37 requisites of awakening. So the four things which are there, foundations of mindfulness, are the same thing, which would be the same thing as the five aggregates in almost the same thing. So one is the body, second is the feeling, third is the mind objects and mind. So the perception is also of the mind, consciousness is also the subject of the mind. So we can say that there are five things which are there, which are incorporated in these four aggregates. This is body, feeling, mind, and mind objects. So that are the things which has to be developed. That is the mindfulness. When we are doing, all those things are incorporated. Any kind of meditation which you do, those things are incorporated. So if by reviewing, he knows this, the four foundations of mindfulness are developed in me, then he should make an effort to develop those four foundations of mindfulness. But if by reviewing he knows thus, the four foundations of mindfulness are developed in me, then he can abide happy and glad, training day and night in a wholesome state. Again, Sariputta, a student should consider thus, are the four right kinds of striving developed in me? So what are the four right kinds of striving? One is, don't allow the unwholesome to invade the mind. If the mind is invaded by unwholesome, then you remove them. Then bring up the wholesome thing and make the wholesome thing grow to the logical conclusion. Are the four bases of spiritual power developed in me? So four bases of spiritual power are, first is chanda, that is the desire. Second is the energy. So if you have desire, then only you can apply energy. When you are applying energy, you can apply your mind. That is chitta. Then the fourth is investigation. I think vibhangsha. So I'm not able to pronounce the Pali word, but the fourth is the investigation. So how it works is, if you have the desire, then you will apply the energy. Say I have a desire to go to a place. Say I want to go to Delhi. So I have the desire. Then I will put in energy. I'll book my tickets and everything. And then I will apply my mind. I will plan how to go, when to go, how to reach there. Then I will have the opening of investigation. I'll be searching what is there, what is the appropriate mode of transport from me to from here to the airport, and what is the mode of transport I have to take from the airport. So I will investigate that. So I will have this things in effect for achieving the goal of me from being from in here in say Thane to go to Delhi. So this will be the process which will be there. So anything which you want to achieve in life, you can use this four factors, which is of desire, energy, mind, and investigation. So you can use this thing, and one flows to the other. So that's how the Buddha is talking about them. Then there are the five faculties developed in me. So what are the five faculties? What are the five faculties? Faculties starts with faith. Okay, that is saddha. So there is faith. Then when there is faith, there you can apply energy. So if I have faith in that I can make a website, say, then I'll put in my energy, I'll put in my effort to make a website. Then if I have that thing, I can apply my mindfulness. That is, mindfulness is ability to remember, ability to see what is there and respond. That is my mindfulness. When I apply my mindfulness, I will have samadhi or collectedness of mind or concentration, appropriate amount of concentration. So that concentration means I can stay and do the job which is required. I can, if I have to build a website, I can stay there, I can stay on the task and build the job. No, don't get distracted. Then that will develop my wisdom. So I did not have website wisdom when I started, but I had faith. But if I have faith, then I put in the energy. When I put in the energy, I can put in my mindfulness. When I put in my mindfulness, my collectedness or samadhi gets developed. When I samadhi gets developed, I will have wisdom. So I end up with the website wisdom at the end. This can be applied to any kind of task. Any kind of task you do, you can apply. But say, once I did this website wisdom, I'll only be a novice in this website building because I have built one website. Now say I want to build another website. I can use the same thing, but they will be powers now. So my faith will be a power. My kind of energy will be my power. My mindfulness will be my power. My collectedness or samadhi would be my power, and my wisdom or panya would be my power. So now the same faculties will become powers. So once you are gone through this, so one way of seeing it is some of the monks kind of think that it is attaining of this kind of sotapanna. Say if you by practice attain sotapanna, then you whatever you do again with the five faculties will become five powers. But that is not being clearly mentioned in one sutta. The Buddha says that when you fulfill this once, then you can make them into powers. You can turn them into powers by using it. So by using it more, you can make it more and more stronger. That is how the 5 faculties work. Then are the 7 enlightenment factors, or 7 factors of awakening. Now, 7 factors of awakening also works through the same thing, is one helps the other. Okay. So you start with mindfulness. Mindfulness will help you investigate what is happening. If there is low energy, or are you sleepy, or are you becoming restless, you will come to know. You will be able to investigate it. Because you are mindful, you will be able to investigate. When you are able to investigate, you can manage the energy. If sometimes you have to put in energy when you are sleepy, when you have to remove energy when you are restless, you become more calmer, smile more, relax more. That is how joy arises in the mind. When your body your practice is in balance, your energy is in balance, then joy arises. Joy is a factor of balanced energy. If the balanced energy is there, joy is there in the mind. When the joy is there in the mind, then what happens is the body becomes tranquil. Your mind is joyful and the body becomes tranquil. When the body is tranquil, then the next step is you get samadhi, that is your ability to stay on the task. That is collectedness or productive amount of concentration. Then you can stay on the task. When you are staying on the task, equanimity arises. So then your mind becomes equanimous. So that is how you can develop in your practice. So these are the 7 factors of awakening. So what is the next thing the Buddha asks is to check out with your practice, is the Noble Eightfold Path developed in me? What is the Noble Eightfold Path? The Noble Eightfold Path starts with right view or harmonious perception. The Bhante used to like the concept of harmonious. So harmonious perception. So the view which you take, the perceiving of you, whatever you are doing, how do you perceive it? Do you perceive it that I will be able to do the task or I will not be able to do the task? There is one very famous quote by Henry Ford, which says that if you believe you can do it or you cannot do it, you are always right. That is the power of the view or the perspective which you have. So you start with the right perspective, that is the right view. Right view is the 4 noble truths, the dependent origination, and the 3 characteristics. That is the right view. So if you have the right view, then you will have the right intention or the right imaging. So whatever the harmonious imaging, which is Bhante says, you will have the right kind of image of the situation. The right intention will arise. The right thoughts will arise. So that is how you will have the next step develop. So when you have views, then the right intention or the right perspective or the harmonious perspective arises. Then the next step also arises in the logical sense. What you think, you speak. So the next step arises is the harmonious speech or harmonious communication. So harmonious communication is there. When the harmonious communication there is, then the harmonious action or the harmonious movement is coming into being. So what you speak, that you do. I want to go to the market. Then what you do is you can go to the market, because action is followed by the thought and speech, and then the action is there. So when there is a harmonious movement or the right action, then what happens is the right livelihood happens, because all you are doing and in line with the precepts. So if you are in line with the precept, then your life style which is there, or a harmonious lifestyle or the right livelihood will be in line with what your actions are there. So if your actions are good, then your livelihood cannot be bad. So it will be in line with your actions. So you will have livelihood which is there. Then it is right action, right practice which is there, or the harmonious practice which is there. So this harmonious practice is in line with your livelihood. That is because you have a life which is in line with the precepts. and your earning or your life which is there is in line with your precepts, then your practice will be in line with the precepts, which will be in the right practice or the harmonious practice. When the harmonious practice is there, then the harmonious observation is there, or the right mindfulness will be there. Because your practice is right, what does the practice entail? That's the 4 right efforts, or 6 R's. Is we can condense that practice into the 6 R's or the 4 right efforts. So now when the 4 right efforts is there, then the mindfulness will also be right, or the harmonious observation will be there. When the harmonious observation is there, your mind can stay on a task. That is the samadhi. So that would be the harmonious collectedness or the right concentration. So when this is there, this fulfills the Eightfold Path. So we start with right view, it turns into right thoughts or right intention, which is right speech, then right action, right livelihood, then right practice, and the right mindfulness, and right concentration. Now, when we go by harmonious way, then harmonious perspective, harmonious imaging, harmonious communication, harmonious movement, that is movement of the mind and the movement which you do, and harmonious lifestyle, harmonious practice, harmonious observation, and harmonious collectedness. So in this way, you have to go through the training in the Eightfold Path. So the Buddha is saying, is the Eightfold Path developed in me? And then next he is asking, are serenity and insight developed in me? Serenity and insight is what? Samatha, Vipassana. What do we call it? Bhante Dhammagavesi, how did he translate it? Tranquil, wisdom, insight, meditation. That is twin. So in the end, the Buddha is asking, is your Samatha Vipassana developed? Samatha Vipassana is like 2 bullock carts yoked together, and both of them have to be strong. If one is strong, then what would happen is the bullock cart will go in circles. If the other is strong, it will go in the other circle. But when the both are strong, then it will go forward. So in this way, the Buddha is saying that sometimes Vipassana is like 2 bulls yoked together. If by reviewing he knows thus that serenity and insight are not developed in me, then he should make an effort to develop them. But if by reviewing he knows thus serenity and insight are developed in me, then he can abide happy and glad, training day and night in the wholesome states. Again, Sariputta, a student should consider thus: are true knowledge and deliverance realized by me? So what is the true knowledge and deliverance? So true knowledge is what? The true knowledge is what you see in the meditation. You see that not being there, it comes into being. Being there, it vanishes. So what does that mean? That it is impermanent. It also means that if it is impermanent, I want to hold on to it, then I create dukkha for me. I resist this impermanence, then I create dukkha for me. If there is pain also, you create dukkha because we are resisting this pain. If there is pleasure also, you are resisting because you know that this will go away. So you want to hold on to it. Then you are creating dukkha because it will not hold on, it will change. So in this way, you are wanting to observe this thing. So the true knowledge you will come to know through the practice. And what is the deliverance? Deliverance is the letting go. So how is the deliverance happening? Buddha is giving a very simple example. The example is of the poison. The Buddha says that if I give you very bitter thing, a cup which has a liquid which is very bitter, would you have it? And it is poison. You will surely die, or you will have a lot of pain. So they say that no, I will not have that. So they said, what if I give very sweet and kind of tasty drink, but it will be poison? You will definitely die or have very much pain. They said, no, we will not take. Why? Because even if it is sweet and kind of tasty, it is poison. Then the Buddha says, if I give you something which is bitter, but it is healthy and it is a medicine, would you take it? He says, we will take it because even if it is bitter, it is medicine, it is for good. In India, there is a bitter gourd juice they have. for health reasons. And there are many kind of natural things which are very bitter, but people take it because it is for health. But the Buddha says, I can give you something which is very sweet, but that is also medicinally very much valuable. Like they have this medicine with curds. They take yogurt and they put some molasses, some ghee, and some honey in it. They mix it and they give it for upset stomach. So it is a very kind of a tasty drink, but it has medicine value. So they said, of course, we will take that drink, because why would we not take that drink? It is medicinal and it is also very tasty. So why would we refuse such a kind of medicine? So the Buddha says, that is in the same way, when you know that this is unwholesome, you will let that go. And in the same way, when you know that it is wholesome, then you will accept it. So the Buddha is saying that whenever you are doing that, you will be letting go of the unwholesome, and that is the deliverance. You are delivered from all your attachment, and this is a kind of permanent change in the way you are looking and behaving and acting in your life. So that is the kind of the importance of the deliverance. If by reviewing he knows us, true knowledge and deliverance are not realized in me, then he should make an effort to realize true knowledge and deliverance. But if by reviewing he knows thus, true knowledge and deliverance are realized by me, then he can abide happy and glad, training day and night in wholesome states. So the Buddha is saying that even if you have realized it, the deliverance you have realized, and true knowledge you have realized, still you can abide in wholesome states. Because what happens is, in wholesome states, the mind is very uh, pleasant and it does not have disturbances. So even if there is an arahant, he wants to be in meditation. He wants to sit in cessation. So he wants to enjoy this state of mind and kind of want to kind of continue this pleasant kind of feeling. Sariputta, whatever recluses and Brahmins in the past have purified their alms food, have all done so by repeatedly reviewing thus. Whatever recluses and Brahmins in the future will purify their alms food, will all do so by repeatedly reviewing thus. So the Buddha is saying that when you are uh, taking alms and you are also committed to your practice, then what is happening? You are fulfilling your purpose, and thus you don't have to have any kind of guilt in your mind. So in the past also, in the present and in the future, the same thing will be there, that anybody who will practice and reviewing is seeing that is my mind unwholesome or is my mind wholesome. That is the simple formula. If there is unwholesome, you let that be and take your attention away and keep it on the wholesome. And then you kind of develop. What is the wholesome? In short, the Brahma Viharas is wholesome. The breath is wholesome. And then there are other wholesome objects of meditation. So you can keep your attention on them, and that will kind of grow. Whatever recluses and Brahmin in the present are purifying their alms food are all doing so by repeatedly reviewing thus. Therefore, Sariputta, you should train thus. We will purify our alms food by repeatedly reviewing thus. Mindful. One second. That is what the Blessed One said. The Venerable Sariputta was satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's words. So the Buddha is saying in this, there are a lot of things the Buddha is kind of giving information on. The Buddha is giving information on the basic factor of the practice which you do in the daily life, which is very important. Because we can sit for so many hours, we can sit for say 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hours, but most of the times 18 hours maybe we kind of are awake and doing our own thing. When we are awake, we have to have that perspective. Is this wholesome? Is this unwholesome? And whatever you are doing in your life, even if you are walking, sitting, standing, lying down, you have to have this awareness that what is my mind doing? Is it wholesome states are there or unwholesome states are there? And if there are unwholesome states, you have to are them and keep on the wholesome. And that reviewing has to go on for the whole day. Then you can use all the factors which are there, all the tools the Buddha has given, which he shows in the four foundations of mindfulness, or the four right strivings, or the Idhipada, four powers of spiritual awakening, or the five faculties, five powers, seven factors of awakening, eightfold path, and samatha vipassana practice or twin meditation. That is tranquil wisdom, insight meditation. That all are the tools the Buddha has given us to practice, and we have to constantly review and keep us on the path. That is the kind of the core of the message. So is there any questions?
Bhante,
Yes.
I have one question. So thank you, Bhante, for walking us through all that. So in terms of the 37 factors of enlightenment, am I correct that it's not necessarily that we complete one and lead to the next and lead to the next, except for the five faculties, which if we practice five faculties enough, strong enough, then it's kind of like and am I understanding this correctly? So if we practice the five faculties enough in our daily life, at some point it will kind of, the state of mind will automatically go into the five powers. Just like, for example, you know how we have to constantly siksar whenever we see tension arise, whenever we or we constantly have to remind ourselves to smile when we forget to smile. So at some point, the smile will just occur by itself when, you know, when we detect simple things like disturbing thought. Like, you know, let's say during the day, somebody said something and then we catch ourselves to not go spiraling into the story. But then usually we have to remind ourselves, but hopefully at some point it will be like automatic response to just smile. Sorry, I think I digressed a little bit my question, but my initial question was...
I kind of understood what you are saying. That is the same way I think you are kind of putting it well. That if you are using them enough, then the faculties become powers. There is certain ways in commentaries and some other places, they think that it is when you are reaching a certain mind state, like becoming a sotapanna or something like that. But I have a view that it is when you are proficient enough in certain thing. Like there is wax on and wax off. They do it in one karate movie, no? They say wax on, wax off. And then he shows that this wax on, wax off is actually a karate move. Now he has more defense training, because that he starts off as wax and wax off, that is the faculties, and then it becomes a power for him. So in the same way, as you said, that when you keep on using it, then those same faculties will act as your five powers.
So that one is with the relationship between the five faculties and the five powers. Then with regards to all the other remaining from the 37, right? Is it more like when we practice, we don't necessarily have to think like, oh, we practice this first, then leading to that, then leading to that. But can we practice in a way like they are like toolbox, you know, like say, for example, today in my sitting, I feel my mind very restless. So I constantly go back to a couple of months ago when we had Rajiv Ji come and read about the Agi Sutta. So in the Agi Sutta, the Buddha mentioned if the mind is restless, then use these three factors: the tranquility, the equanimity, collectedness. If the mind is dull, then use the mindfulness, which leads to the, as Bhante said, development of the, observation of the Dhamma, Dhamma Vijaya, and then which leads to joy. So those are factors that will ignite. So because my mind is constantly here and there and everywhere, so when I think of the Agi Sutta and using the relaxed step, and then the equanimity step, it does have some effect. It's
Correct.
not long, before the mind stays again. So it's always like this, right? So I'm kind of thinking that using the 37 factors as kind of like tools when we are in a particular state, and then we're like, oh, remember, okay, can I use this one? Can I think of it like that?
You are correct. And Buddha is specifically giving those formula about how to use certain kinds of factors in certain situation, like in energy, managing energy only. So sometimes you have to put in energy, sometimes you have to take out the energy. So that is also a way of using it as it is needed. Buddha is very clear that his practice is based on the practicality of the situation. So certain times the Buddha would give a kasina, certain times he would give a breath as the object of meditation. Certain times he would say, do the metta or the karuna or the upekha or the what is it? Metta, Karuna, Mudita, or Upekha. So any of those things the Buddha would give as an object of meditation. So it is also based on certain factors the Buddha would assess. And that is the reason all of these factors are tools. So object of meditation is also tool. The right effort is also the tool. What is the tool for? What is the purpose for all these things? The purpose is to know the reality of the mind, the reality of the universe which is there. The impermanence which is there is not just the impermanence of the thoughts. It is also impermanence of everything which you see in your life. So you can go through everything in your life which you see. Those are impermanent. You can see that Earth at one point of time did not exist. It was part of the mass of a star. When the star kind of died, it exploded. There was stardust which was there. From the stardust, these planets and all the other planets which we have, so were made. Now this all which was made also will kind of vaporize the earth. So we have to see that this impermanence is not just about our thoughts, not about all the things which are there around us, but the earth itself. And the earth is there in this universe. This universe will also at one time be contracting and not be there. So the space itself is also impermanent. So we have to think in that terms that when we are going through any kind of practice, we are also learning about the reality of the universe. So what are we doing? All these things is to learn about the reality of the universe. You have to learn about the impermanence. You have to learn about our resistance, which is the dukkha. And we have to learn about the impersonality. There is no controller over here. When if there is a controller over here, then what the controller can do is they can do anything random. And then this thing will not be there. Kind of the cause and effect which is there. The chain is broken then. If even there is one controller over here and who can kind of put any kind of action, let there be light and there is a light, and let there be water and there is water, then the cause and effect change is broken. We know why there is light over here on earth, and we know why there is water over here on earth. We know that it is a cosmic kind of cause and effect which is there. So we are also a kind of a product of cause and effect. We have a personality. I have a personality, you have a personality. Our personality is made of cause and effects which are based on the past. Past has come and we have collapsed on over here. Where is the volition, the free will which we have? The free will which we have is when our mind is distracted, we recognize. When we recognize that our thought is on certain things, we can go with the thought, or we can zigzag, can release. So that is the volition which we have. We can direct our attention to what we want. Then we direct our attention over here, relax, over here, smile, and come back to say metta practice or karuna, mudita, upekha, whatever practice we are doing, we can come back to that practice. Now we have that volition. We don't have any other kind of control. We don't have control on our body. We don't have control on the feeling which is there. We don't have control on the perception. We don't have control on the thoughts which we get. We don't have control on the consciousness which we have. We don't have control on the mind, but we can redirect our attention. So the Buddha is also talking about unwholesome and wholesome. One other way of talking is what is unskillful and skillful. One other way of saying it is what is useful and what is not useful. So this is the kind of the continuous practice which is there, which we have to do. So everything is a tool, as you said, and not everything has to be developed and one in the sequence which is there. But when that is needed, and one other thing is, if you start doing one thing, you are also developing all the other things. Like if you start sitting over there, then you are aware of the body. Then you're aware of the senses, not keeping your eyes closed, not paying attention to the sound, keeping your mouth closed, no taste, you're not tasting anything, you're not touching anything. And if your mind moves away, you 6 hours and bring up over here. So you are using the right effort immediately. Then you are using the mindfulness. You remember to observe how your mind is moving from one thing to another. That is the mindfulness. When you are doing the mindfulness, you are knowing what state is there. Investigation is happening automatically. When the investigation is happening, you adjust your energy automatically. When you are adjusting the energy, your joy is arising in your mind automatically. When the joy is there, your body becomes tranquil. When the body is tranquil, you are able to stay with your object of meditation. And when you stay with your object of meditation, then you will be able to have the equanimity. So now this process does not require any kind of intervention, in that sense that when you do this correctly, the other things will also develop. But over here, if there is an imbalance which is there, you see, then you can introduce more mindfulness or more equanimity. So that can be kind of adjusted when it is required. When there is restlessness, maybe you use equanimity, which is there more. When there is sloth and torpor, you may be using more energy. So in this way, you can adjust these things. They are all tools for the aim. So one thing I'll just tell you about this retreat itself. There was a lady who had come to train. First day she did 20 to 30 minutes. And on the last day, she did 5 hours, 20 minutes or something like that. So from starting for 20 minutes to 5 hours, 20 minutes in 9 days. She went from that. How did she go? She went because she could understand when she was sitting what was happening. She was following the instructions correctly. So she was able to let go and then just stay. She was able to let go and stay. And then she was able to stay and prolong her sitting. So that is how this happens, that when you understand what is happening currently, you can adjust what is needed. But certain times there are a lot of hindrances also. And because the hindrances are there, then you just deal with the hindrances. Then you develop your wisdom. That when the hindrances is there, that is for a purpose. Something has happened in the past, which is arising in the present. Now what you can do is you can use these hindrances to develop the same wisdom. You say you can recognize the impersonal nature of this hindrance, the impermanence of this hindrance. Sometimes it is at level 10, sometimes it is level 8, sometimes it is level 5. The hindrance is also changing. So you learn the impermanence of this hindrance. You learn the resistance I am having with the hindrance. So one has aversion to the hindrance, and one learns that how now this aversion is creating the dukkha. The hindrance is there on its own. The pain may be there, the busyness of the mind may be there, maybe on its own. But now we can learn from the hindrances also. So the developing of the wisdom is there in any kind of jhana, is there, any kind of state is there. Even the mind is busy, even if the mind has a lot of pain and suffering. still they have points for you to learn and develop. Okay.
Oh, thank you, Bhante. That was actually my second question that you just answered. Using
Okay.
the I was going to ask I was going to check my practice because I oftentimes use the hindrances to reflect on the impermanence, my relationship, the aversion towards it, and then I'm working on the impersonality towards the hindrances, which is very interesting. I'm not always successful, but of course it's a practice. But yeah, I just wanted to check if I was doing the right thing. So thank you, Bhante, for answering my question.
Yeah, you're doing right. Any more questions? Anyone else has any questions? I think everybody understood well. Okay, then we'll share the merits. Oh, I thought it would take a lot of time, but I think we did it in time, huh? In good time. Okay, then we'll share the merit. May suffering once be suffering free, and the fear struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting in space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensations. Thank you everybody for coming. And I hope everybody
Bhante,
joins us for the Wednesday meetings also.
Bhante, do we need to mention like we dedicate the merits to?
I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding. So we will dedicate this marriage with whatever we have earned to Hugh's mother, and I hope that she is at ease and comfortable in her last days, and she goes to a good destination if she has to pass on her journey and continue her journey. May she go to a good destination.
Uh, Thank you,
Okay.
Bhante. Thank you,
Take care.
everyone.